Immigration update, marami po tayo mga nakukuhang tanong, maraming mga magkakasintahan. Ako gustong magpakasal. So what's easier, to petition for your loved one as a fiancé or as a wife or as a husband? Sasagutin po namin yan at kung ano-ano pa yung mga requirements ngayong hapon sa ating American Dream.
This American Dream segment is brought to you by Aquino & Lowe Law Firm, answering your immigration questions.
Attorney Allison Aquino is joining us here on the show. Napakaganda. Hello and welcome to Kababayan, LA.
Hi, Janelle.
Let's talk about the fiancé visa. You know, I hear a lot of questions still, Allison, and I know we've talked about this before, but for those of us who missed it, what's easier or faster if you petition for a loved one as a husband or wife or as a boyfriend-girlfriend?
Well, as far as easier and faster, both of the processes are both rather complex, but the advantage of going with a fiancé petition is if you want the person here faster, because the petition process as a fiancé is roughly about 6 months faster than as a marriage-based petition.
And does it have anything to do with your status here, whether you're a green card holder or you're a U.S. citizen?
Well, the only ones eligible to proceed with a fiancé petition are U.S. citizens. The fortunate part is that if you're only a permanent resident, then you're not eligible to proceed with a fiancé petition, and so you do have to go and get married and proceed with a marriage-based petition.
Okay.
The good part is that the waiting list for a marriage-based petition is rather short.
And some people are saying, too, that so if you're a green card holder and you want to marry someone from the Philippines, all you need to do is just apply for your citizenship if you're eligible, and then do it that way.
You can, but as I pointed out, the waiting list for a green card holder right now is only about 4 or 5 months. And so it may actually be longer to first apply for U.S. citizenship and then go through the petition process, because citizenship will take 4 or 5 months. So you may as well, at this point, just because the waiting lists are so short, do it as a green card holder.
Why is it so short? Is there not too many people applying for that?
Exactly. There's fewer people applying.
And why is it? Is it difficult to do it that way, or?
It's not just, it's just with the economy and just the environment right now, fewer people are immigrating into the United States.
But I know that they're strict, like the officers, immigration officers are very strict when it comes to fiancé petitions, right?
They are very strict. And one of the other advantages, actually, to proceeding on a fiancé petition are for individuals where there are stepkids. If there are stepchildren between the ages of 18 and 21, then definitely you should do a fiancé petition, because then those kids can still be included on the petition. Whereas if you get married and there are children between 18 and 21, then those children are going to be left behind.
Oh, okay. And those are stepkids?
Stepkids, correct.
What are the requirements for applying for this?
To proceed on a fiancé petition, naturally it needs to be a legitimate and bona fide relationship. And the main requirement is that the two of you have physically seen one another within the past 2 years of filing the petition. And so that literally means going over to the Philippines, for example, and you need to make sure to document the fact that you have seen one another, you know, taking photos in front of the airport sign and dated, just to prove to the government that you fulfill that requirement.
I hear, because they're strict, I hear that when you go for interviews, because you get interviewed for this too, they ask about personal stuff, personal questions. Is that true?
Well, they cannot ask too intimate of questions, and certainly they need to know whether the relationship is legitimate and bona fide. And so you need to be able to explain to the immigration how you met, the course of how your relationship developed, perhaps how often you communicate with one another. And so there are special issues if, for example, you've only known each other for a few months. And in that situation, it's not that you'll be denied, but you need to be able to explain to an immigration officer how you know you want to be with this person. If it's such a short relationship, you need to be able to explain to the officer that you know enough about the person to be making a conscientious decision and truly want to get married to one another.
And I guess same goes for internet dating, right?
Yes. Well, there are special rules if you meet through what's called marriage brokers. So because you know they don't want to encourage selling of brides,
like mail order brides.
Mail order brides, and so that's
no-no.
different. Yes, that's a no-no. Mail order brides are different than just meeting on an internet, say through eHarmony or some type of exactly. That's okay. And quite often, you know, especially the day of the internet, that happens a lot. And you just need to be able to explain to immigration how you met, and meeting through the internet is more than appropriate. Or meeting, for example, from a friend or a family member who introduces you to the person via the internet.
Okay, see, and because they're strict because there's a lot of scams out there.
Yeah.
And what happens? What are the penalties if they find that the marriage is not bona fide?
Well, if they find that the relationship is not bona fide, then the individual could be barred for life.
For life?
For life.
That individual, the one you're trying to petition to come over.
Correct.
What about you as a petitioner?
The petitioner certainly loses credibility, and although they may not be barred for life in any subsequent petition, immigration is going to scrutinize that application even more. So certainly you should not be participating in that.
Right. And you mentioned earlier the time span already, and then the requirements, some penalties if you're found out to be committing fraud. What else? Any last-minute reminders for us in regards to this?
Well, as far as the process is concerned, individuals need to plan. Much too often I have clients coming in saying, well, I want my family here for the holidays.
Oh.
And so you do need to plan ahead. Another concern, especially with the Philippines, is that people think that they can just go and have a secret marriage and that they can go back to the Philippines, especially because our culture, the families want to make sure that their child is not just coming to the Philippines and there's no real commitment by the person here in the United States.
Right.
And so I do get, questions from clients often of, well, the family wants us to have a ceremony while we're back in the Philippines and not record it. In the Philippine law, there are actually case law that says even if you don't record a marriage certificate, it's still considered a valid marriage.
Oh, okay.
And
so you can't petition as a fiancé anymore.
Correct. And if you try to proceed down that path, then they may consider that to be fraud, and then you're going to have problems in the future. And so it's fine to have a commitment ceremony, just don't do anything that's documented, because then that tends to show that you are participating in a legal
So don't sign anything, or
correct.
Yeah.
It's it's good. It's nice to have a reception and a party.
Yeah.
But
maybe you can make it like an engagement party or something.
Precisely.
Right? Yeah.
An engagement party is the much more appropriate thing to do.
And speaking of appropriate, you said it right. It was a very, very appropriate term when you said complex. So fiancé visas, wow, I didn't know it was this complicated, but thank you so much for clarifying issues with us today. If you want more information, I'm sure it's case-to-case basis, of course. That's the number on the screen. Schedule your appointment now. They do give free office consultation, and then they charge a minimum fee if you want to do phone or email consultation as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
More power to you. Magbabalik ko po ang Kababayan LA. Don't go away.